Live. Thank you very much for joining me again. And please, if you have read the caption of the broadcast, always remember to read the description of the broadcast as well. Like the broadcast, which is your offering. Share it. To invite your friends and your not so friendly friends. Tell all of them that Mayegun today. Thank you. Tonight, we are starting from the book of Lamentation. KWAKWANSO chapter, maybe chapter 3. And whatever verse you think it is at as we speak. This is from KWAKWANSO, the former ally. I don't know if they are still allied though. The former ally to Tinubu and a very strong member of the APC. Egbekegbe at infancy during formation years of APC. Egbekegbe. I don't know what prompted this vituperation of KWAKWANSO, but it seems to be raising some very, very scary political, dusts. He went for the broke and he announced, as if on behalf of the northern Nigeria, he announced to who care to listen that the Lagos boys are plotting to colonize the northern Nigeria. How? According to KWAKWANSO, the tax reform of Tinubu is an indirect move or plot to recolonize northern Nigeria economically and also to alert the northerners that this Lagos boy is talking about Tinubu and his men. They are so daring that they are beginning to interfere in their choosing of their emirs. I am going to break all of that down for you if you are not in a rush, okay? On Mayegun's Diary Political, I am a storyteller, but my storytelling is quite interesting because they are not make-believe stories. They are real-life events, true life stories that affect real people, real humans, the ones that exposes the victims of all of these political shenanigans, conspiracies, and so on. So if you are not in a rush, sit back, relax, and let us delve into it. Because also tonight, Duhala or Bulaba, Daniel Bulaba, has resumed officially, okay, as a Tinubu's spokesperson, the person that replaced Akuri Nigalailai. Yeah, that's Kojafin Kojoyibo. That's what Yoruba call people like that. Say Kojafin Kojoyibo. Akuri Nigalailai, the one that will lie, with straight face. And if you dare kind of like a fact check him, it will double down and tell you that you should check again. Akuri Nigalailai. The guy who came back from the overblown budget or travel to UAE. And he came back to announce to everybody that the UAE had lifted the visa ban on Nigeria when they hadn't, or when they didn't. Akuri Nigalailai was the one who went to India with Tinubu last year, September, and announced that Tinubu signed $14 billion investment deal with India. 14 kobo, they no sign up. Akuri Nigalailai, a legend, a legend from the school of thought of Laya Muhammad. And so, I mean, all of a sudden, Akuri Nigalailai was said to have challenged the Ezibida Bayo Onofunuga in a bit of a seniority or rivalry stuff. So, and because now tribalism lanje, so Akuri Nigalailai had to leave for Bayo Ezibida Onofunuga. The man that replaced him now is called Duhala Bulaba Gani. So we are going to touch that also tonight. And then Obasanjo, they took Obasanjo to the cleaners. The Tifnumbu's rogues, the Tifnumbu's ass lickers, the all-risers. Yeah, but somehow, a lot of Nigerians came in, to defense of Obankparo Obasanjo. So let's start from this colonialist alarm, because according to KWAKWANSO, the tax reform of Tinubu is an indirect way of taking everything back to Lagos. You know, Tinubu wants to begin to collect taxes for everybody and stop the state from collecting their taxes where they used to collect the taxes. And if people must know, Northerners must rise and ensure that Tinubu's tax reform never passes. Meanwhile, it has already passed the second reading. Once these guys resume, I think later this month or so, the Akpabioli's Senate will possibly pass it, and that will be it. So we will get to that. But let's first hear from KWAKWANSO, the man. Let me tell you this one before we listen to him, okay? The man that was never a friend to Sanusi Sanusi. Now, Sanusi happened to be somebody who was a very corrupt individual, very, very corrupt. He was spending the central bank of money as if to say it belonged to his forefathers, as the piggy bank or pocket money of his, a piggy bank of his forefathers. Sanusi was everywhere, sharing money, stealing money, and when he was about to be caught, red-handed, he just dropped the bombshell. $50 billion missing. 50 billion. Jonathan, you know, that time was the time when Goodluck Ebere Jonathan was being accused of being so corrupt, so weak, and all of that, right? Boom. Tinubu and his gang, right? They just started feeding on that. How the money has been diverted by, Jonathan and all of that stuff. While everybody is looking for the $50 billion of the NNPC money that was missing, it became obvious that Sanusi was under investigation for corruption. So boom, Jonathan just removed him, sacked him. And in order for him not to go to jail, it was the same Kolu Tinubu that flew straight to Kano. Then the emir of Kano just died. The kingmakers in Kano, they've suggested 3 names. Sanusi was not part of the names, but they had to quickly do it as Okuoru. We cannot lose this. It's a very important instrument in trying to make sure that we unseat this Jolantano. If you, KWAKWANSO, as governor of Kano, if you can power that, sorry that I'm using some Yorubas that some of you won't understand. I'm sorry, but I just have to put it that way. You know, say I like to power that. That means we have to use some, abracadabra. In this case, what kind of a thing? Like you say, you rub my back, I rub your back of a thing, right? If you can, please, Sanusi was supposed to be from the Emirates lineage as well, but he's never considered to be an emir, so to say, right? And I know that you are not in good time with him because of his mouth and all that. But you know something? If you can make him the next emir, quick, right? That means Jonathan cannot arrest him because it will kind of turn the entire northern Nigeria against himself. But if you can do that, I will support you for president in 2015. KWAKWANSO just bought it. And that was how Sanusi became Emir of Kano. And so many people in Kano were not really in good tandem with that. True story. But when KWAKWANSO was governor, Gandola, the Babariga Mobile Banking CEO, was deputy governor. So Gandola was going to succeed KWAKWANSO at the time. And they were both in PDP. If you remember, they were in PDP, but they just crossed over, to start APC. I don't know if some of you probably remember that the leaders of APC, today, they were mostly from PDP as well. Well, that one is like an old story, so don't worry. So Gandola, at the time, a born criminal, a thief, a kleptomaniac, here you get, was deputy to KWAKWANSO. So they had to do it, hoping that, KWAKWANSO will become presidential candidate of this new party that they are putting together. Long story short, KWAKWANSO was sacrificed for Bokuwari, but Sanusi became Emir. Goodluck Ebere Jonathan couldn't touch him anymore. And at the end of the day, it worked. The whole permutation worked. Bokuwari and their terrorists that they brought closer to the border of Nigeria, that in case if Jonathan failed to accept, if Jonathan failed to concede to them, Nigeria will become history. That was the plan. And Ebere Jonathan was so scared stiff that he let them have their way. But it is to further kind of put them, expose them in all of their munafikina pain. Because the thief from Central Bank, Sanusi, okay, immediately he became Emir. He started spending the money of the Emirates, like the way he was spending the money of Central Bank. Within a year, Sanusi don't spend over 1.2 billion naira. Emirates spend billion. This is now when they spend money. You get. Then he started talking about Gandola. Gandola won't take it. Remember, KWAKWANSO is no longer the governor. Gandola is now the governor. So when it was time for Gandola to go for second term, Sanusi and his gang said Gandola cannot go for second term after releasing the video of him stealing money. Collecting money, bribe in dollars. Gandola was like, "I yield that." You do you think you are a saint? You think you are better than me because you are speaking this what do you call it? Acne English, Abinko. We be thief. All of us be thief. And this Emirate where you did call yourself Emir yourself. Now we arrange jam. Now we run them for you. You won't come take me shine, Abi. And so Gandola, after winning or rigging himself for the second term, he had Abu Abija over brutal. Here you get. Gandola come break the Emirate into 5. Remove Sanusi, send them to somewhere called Lawe, like Iburere Nibuobo. By then, Gandola and KWAKWANSO trailer don't pass their midst. They don't turn to political enemies. True story. Now, fast forward to 3 years or so later, in 2023, KWAKWANSO returned with a bang, a new party, NNPP, and a zones to G was declared winner of a Kano State governorship election. So it was time to pay Gandola back in his own coin. They removed his own emir, Adobayero, returned Sanusi. So Sanusi, as we speak right now, is now the emir of Kano admin. When Adobayero is emir of Kano Academy. So KWAKWANSO has been told that in 2027, whether now by hook or by crook, Tinubu they must deliver Kano. The result has been written. That is why KWAKWANSO has now turned to a philosopher again. That these Lagos people, they want to choose emir for them. Because by 2027, he once said the INEC rewrited the result and they kick all of them out of Kano. Whether on a go when Toba Makumaku and Toba Makumaku kind of politics of Tinubu, right? And if you say Sanusi loses Sanusi, they go remove him again. Shogun Layeni. Or KWAKWANSO is kind of making it look like, in the interest of the North, we must rise and stop Tinubu and his gang. That is where we, hang on, where's my clip? Right, that is where we are going to start this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, KWAKWANSO.
Today, we are aware that the Lagos young men are working so hard to impose taxes and take away our taxes from Kano and this part of the country to Lagos. Today, as we have seen, even the telephones that we make or register here in Kano, the efforts are there for them to take all the taxes to Lagos. Even our sons and daughters who have got factories, many of them here in Kano and northern Nigeria, and even banks, because somehow they are forced to take their headquarters to Lagos, taxes will now have to go to Lagos. We have seen the efforts of some people to make the poor poorer and the rich richer. And I believe this is very dangerous for all of us. This part of the country today is suffering from serious economic crunch, is suffering from serious insecurity, suffering from poverty, hunger, diseases. I believe this is not good for the existence, the cordial existence of our country. At this moment, I would like to call on our National Assembly members to keep their eyes open so that they don't do anything that will cheat the people of northern Nigeria, especially here in Kenya. We are witnesses to what happened during the first term, 1999 to 2003, where our members of the National Assembly were bribed, were tricked into collecting huge sum of money to support onshore, offshore in this country. That law put a huge blow into our economy, not only here in northern Nigeria, but all other states that are not bordering the coast. Let me also, at this moment, congratulate the proprietor of this university.
Nuisance Lele. Nuisance Lele.
That is KWAKWANSO. Currently, they are taking the guys around him one by one. And is practically just telling those who care to listen that if he goes down, if these guys succeed in taking me out politically, all of us are going down new. But if he had said that directly, here you get now, it would have been much like exposed him. Okay, so that's why he's using this is Tinubu, although is right to some extent on that issue of tax reform, but is not totally right. Here is the right part. Tinubu and his gang, they have put together a mechanism where the same thing they did in Lagos, and they also tried in Osun. They did it in Edo to some extent, but it's a bit different nationally now, okay? And what was that? Every state has what is called the Internal Revenue Service. So they are those responsible for collecting all taxes by law. Then the federal government also have what is called the FIRS, Federal Inland Revenue Service. But it is not the only one collecting taxes, because taxes varies, tariffs and other stuff, right? Custom they collect, immigration they collect, police said they collect tariff. So the point here is this, right? When Tinubu became the governor of Lagos, what he did was that some guys came with a brilliant idea of how to harmonize the tax collection. That if it is harmonized, the state will collect more. Usually you have the states, you have the local government collecting their own taxes. They have their own places where they collect taxes from, like markets, motor park, playground, all those places for local governments. The states, right, they have their own places of collecting taxes and all that. Here you get like tenement rate. No, I think local government collect tenement rates as well. Then the federal government, they have places where they collect their own taxes too, okay, across the country. And they have the mechanism they use in collecting these taxes. They will now remit the money. But when these guys, when the Tinubu came, the alpha beta, right, was an idea of some guys who offered themselves as consultants, that they will build a system where they will identify the places and those who are supposed to be paying taxes and ensuring that they pay. So in return, they will be given 5% of the money. So that was the deal. So when Tinubu got the idea, he kicked the guys out. They now rewrote everything, okay, renamed the group. And that was the beginning of Alpha Beta, all right? So in that Alpha Beta, there's also something called Remita. Remita, which is like the name of his wife, Remi Tinubu. So Remita. So Alpha Beta is a consultant. The machine that collects your money and remit it to the state government is called Remita. So which means Alpha Beta find and discovers who should be paying, okay, and bring everybody to the same payment platform. But the processing, software or the processing company is another one. So making it two of them. So these two now work together for Lagos State. That's FIRS. Meanwhile, the idea was pretty much supposed to have been adopted by LIRS, Lagos Inland Revenue Service. But they decided to set up an outright independent tax consultants agency, Remita. Alpha Beta. So instead of collecting 5% as those guys who drafted the proposal, the idea, Tinubu is collecting 30% of all the revenues collected before they will remit the rest to Lagos State. And whatever they remit to Lagos State is what Lagos State will. So those who are working in the supposed LIRS, Lagos Inland Revenue, they pretend to be working with Alpha Beta. So they don't do anything per se. Sure you get, all right? In fact, once in a while, they go out, okay? They go out wearing the LIRS to pretend that they are actually working, but they are not the ones in charge. So to go outside, to go and intimidate people of why they have not paid, you need to pay. So Alpha Beta uses the LIRS guys, right, as enforcers. But when the money comes in, it goes to Alpha Beta. So Alpha Beta commodity, they will remove their own 30% and give the rest to Lagos State. And truly, it increased the IGR of Lagos.